Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and today I'd like to show you how I made this card. This is the first of my basically white on white Christmas cards this year. I always make one or two, and this new set that's available to us for a limited time through the month of November, so we really just have another couple of weeks that's available, is what I'm using to make this. This is just the most stunning set. This is the die set that comes with this suite. It's called Snowfall Thinlits. Look at the dies that you get with this set. There are 20 dies. Now, some of these definitely look like snowflakes. There's no doubt about that. But many of them look like flowers. And so I think the versatility of this, plus it's got this berry sprig and these two leaf sprigs, and this little flourish here, while I'm using it to do, bring this up so you can see it, I'm using it to do this along here, but you look at that and, I mean, cutting off just a couple of those things, and some of them look like flowers to begin with. I think we can get away with this all year long. And it's just lovely. It's just beautiful. But 20 dies, it's pretty amazing. And the stamp set that I'm using, there's two stamp sets with this suite, and in a minute I'll find the sheet that describes the whole suite. I don't see it right off the top, but I'll find it here in a minute. And this is the stamp set that I'm using, and on this one I put one sentiment on the inside, and it says, "Sending a blizzard of wishes for a wonderful season." And I didn't put any snowflakes on the inside of this, so I'm going to change it up just a little bit. And I think what I'm going to do is do the same thing, but using this stamp set, "Merry Christmas to You and Peace on Earth to All the World," on the front of the card, with the "Sending a Blizzard of Wishes for a Wonderful Season" on the inside of the card. So that's really the only change I'm going to make, with the exception of maybe putting a few of these dots in a very muted blue on the inside. So this set is really doesn't take very many pieces to do this. There's a lot of die cutting, but the dies cut beautifully. I will have to say that. All right, so the pieces that we're using to make this set are just two, well, three, I guess. It is a standard base, and I used the thick Whisper White, 8.5 by 5.5, scored and folded at 4 1/4. And then I have a piece of vellum here, and this vellum is cut to 4 by 5 1/4. And the main thing we're going to do is make this beautiful, and I hope that shows up on the camera. I think it does. The shimmery background that I've made to go on this with just the hint of blue. And I thought that that would be close enough to my white on white. I always put just a little dab of color in them. So what we're going to do is spend some time on this vellum sheet, since that is the main thing we're going to do. And then to save some time, I've already cut all of my snowflake elements, and I've cut extras, as I am likely to do here, by cutting enough so that I can change my mind or add some or do whatever's needed here. So I'm just going to put all of these down here, and then we can pick and choose which ones we want to use. There are 5 little snowflakes in this die set that are approximately that size. And that is wonderful, because if your card doesn't have quite so many snowflakes on it, you know, one pass with the big one and a good-sized piece of glimmer paper, which is the only other thing you need. You need a pretty good size piece of glimmer paper to cut out all of your snowflake elements. Okay, so we're going to do our work on this piece of vellum. And I'm using Balmy Blue as my hint of color here. And let me just move these little snowflakes out of the way here. And so I've got a little piece of scratch paper here. And what we're going to do is color the vellum. And what I'm using is my re-inker for Balmy Blue, and I am putting 1 drop, and that's it. 1 drop in the lid of my ink pad here, and then I keep a bottle of alcohol on my desk, and so I'm going to add a little bit of alcohol to that, and then I've got this sponge, and I'm going to mix that. Looks like not quite enough alcohol. Mix that alcohol and the color here so that I get plenty on my sponge here. And what I'm going to try to do is hold this piece pretty still as I work across it and get my blue color on my piece here. And I'll use my pokey tool to hold it down here as I get this other, or maybe my scissors might be better because I can hold down more than 1 point at a time. And just get my color on my vellum, and it looks and feels like quite a bit, and I don't want stripes, so I'm going to go back over that and dab and mess around so that I don't get stripes, because that's not what I'm looking for on this thing. Okay, so I'm going to bring this up so you can see. Once you take it away, there's almost no color. I mean, when I put that behind the white, you can see that there is very little color on that piece of vellum, and that's exactly what I was looking for. And it dries fairly quickly, but we're going to add some more stuff to it here, and I'm going to turn this over. And on this side, what I'm going to do is I've got some of my Frost Shimmer Paint here, and mix that around, and I don't need this right now, so I'll put that away for the moment. And what I'm going to do is add right back to this same sponge a little bit of this. This bottle's almost empty. I've been messing around with this stuff, so I finally actually used enough here that I'm making it a dent in my bottle. And what I've got is just a little bit of shimmer paint. You don't need a lot here. And what I'm going to do is first I'm going to try and get some shimmer paint down all over this page. Then I'm going to go back and I'm going to dab. Again, I don't want lines, but I want the whole page covered, so I'm going to pay particular attention to my edges here. And I want to get pretty much complete coverage of this Frost White Shimmer Paint on my blue here. And you'll see, because it's now the vellum is a little bit wet, it's going to start to curl. So what we're going to do is take the heat gun, and I'll quiet the video while I do this, and I'm going to dry my piece of vellum, and I'll be back in a flash. Okay, now I'm going to let this cool off and dry just a little bit more, and I think I'll take a little bit of scratch paper here, or scrap, I guess, of the white, and get my stamping done. So I'm going to make two stampings. One is on the inside of the card, which is going to be this sending a blizzard of wishes for a wonderful season on the inside of the card, sort of to the left, because I plan to put a few snowflakes down the side on this side here, and I want to leave room for that. So I've got my Balmy Blue here, and let me put this sentiment, use my grid paper here to help me get this nice and straight. And putting that right there. Sending a blizzard of wishes for a wonderful season. Okay, then on this piece here, I want to do this stamp. This is a much larger sentiment, but I think it'll work on the front of there. And this piece of paper, let me see, how wide is this? This is right at 2 inches, and 2 inches looks like it would just carry this. And since the drama is the card, I'm going to just make this as little as I can. So I'm stamping down towards the bottom and not leaving much margin on either side. And there we go. Merry Christmas to you and peace on earth to all the world. And we might see if putting a little piece of vellum over that might tone down the color. It just might. All right, so thinking through here. All right, so that is pretty much all the stamping done. Now this piece is nice and dry, but you can see it's warped a bit. And I'll show you that all I have done is just use my bone folder here to straighten out the paper again. And we don't need it to be perfect because we're going to glue it down. Now, gluing vellum. Gluing vellum is sometimes an issue because glue shows through. However, we have this beautiful frost pattern. I'm going to bring that up so you can see it. You can see the effect of the vellum and the frost and the pale blue. Isn't that just gorgeous? I just love this technique. And I think this is one where we could take a page like this and die cut this. That would be spectacular as well. So we'll have to mess with this technique some more to see what else we can do with it. But right now, what I want to do is I want to glue it down to the front of my piece of my card front here. And one of the things about gluing down vellum that we've learned over time is that when you glue down vellum, you don't see any of the glue as long as you put the glue all over. So I have some glue sponges here that I have used over time, and I just keep them in a little plastic bag here. And I'm going to put down a little blob, a pretty good sized blob of Tombow over here. And then you just use your sponge and grab some glue, and then you don't need a whole lot on the back of your piece, but just to dab some of the glue all over the piece, then you don't see any of it on the back. And like I said, really doesn't take a whole lot. Just getting it kind of spread around on the back of the piece. Looks like I might need a little bit more Tombow down here for the bottom. And adding this glue along the bottom and the back, then we can take this piece, and then I'm going to set this down so that it has the same margin all the way around, and stick it down to the front of my card. And there I've got the whole piece stuck down, and you don't see any of the glue behind it. Isn't that great? Okay, so there we have our piece stuck down on the front of our card. Now we can start adding our snowflakes. And the other thing that I have found, let me just clean up this silicone mat here with some painter's tape and get all that excess glue off of there. This works so well. And now I've got a nice clean silicone mat. And then on these, what I found is this used to be called Dazzling Diamonds, and now it's called Sparkle. And there is a significant difference from the old Dazzling Diamonds Glimmer Paper and this Sparkle paper. I keep calling it the wrong name. It is Sparkle. And I've had a couple of inquiries. People say, I'm looking for Dazzling Diamonds in the catalog and I can't find it. And that's because it's not called Dazzling Diamonds anymore, and I've just got to get my act together and call it the right name. But if you use a dot runner on the back of this material, what happens is that the glue sticks to the spines and does not show through or give you a gunky mess on the other side. Now that's pretty clean, and I can take that and I can tuck it here in the corner and glue it down just like I would anything else, and that isn't going anywhere. And that's just using a dot runner instead of a glue runner that has the whole strip down the side. Okay, so now placement. I like this little flourish right along the bottom of this, but you can see we've got a little problem here. So what I did was I just rounded this edge off up here at the top, and I went ahead and put this piece right down here so that it came across. So I'm going to do the same thing. Oops, I see a little piece that didn't get punched out. There we go. So I'm going to do the same thing using the dot runner, and that way I can get glue all across every little nook and cranny here and get that put into place. It's amazing when you use the right tools how easy things are. And put this in place right down here at the bottom of the card. Now, the little piece that came off here has now got two little tails, and I found that if you put it right here, it looks like it's connected to these other two. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'm not going to waste a single snowflake here. So I'm putting this one down here and connecting it right in between two of these spokes and putting it right to the edge of this flower looking item here and putting that into place. Okay, then I took, I think it was not this one, let's see. There are several different ones. I think it's this one that kind of seems to fit down here. And then others here of varying sizes to put into place around this edge to kind of fill in, and something like that, so that we get little snowflakes all over the front of our card here. And you know, I wonder if we put our sentiment, let me cut that sentiment off here. And we were to put that right up there, then all we really need is a couple of little snowflakes. Maybe one here, and maybe even one up here in this corner. That looks nice and full. I just don't know about this sentiment. Down here, you know, I think I like it better on the bottom. And I am going to wrap that in a little bit of vellum. So what we need is a little piece of vellum to stretch across this piece here. And let's see, Okay, so this piece ends up being about 1 1/8. So 1 1/8 wide by about 2 1/2. So yeah, 2 1/2. So I cut a little piece of vellum here at 1 1/8, and this is 3 3/4 inches long. And what I'm going to do, you can see if I put it on here, it just tones down that blue a little bit, and I kind of like the way that looks. And I've decided I do want this down here on the bottom and not up at the top. I want this whole thing to show. So what I'm going to do is to put a little bit of snail on the back of my sentiment here, and I am going to wrap this vellum and pinch score it here, get it so that it matches my paper here, and then fold it across the sentiment, and I'm going to fold it back on that sentiment. And there you can see we've got Merry Christmas to you and peace on earth to all the world. And when I get that set, I'm going to put lots of dimensionals on it, or strips of dimensionals, so that I get that to lie real flat and it won't bow on the inside of this. In fact, let me get, I think what I'm going to do is use some of the bones along the side here of my dimensionals and get that to lay down really nice and flat. And then when that lays down, it'll be nice and flat on the front. I think that's good to go there. I'm going to go ahead and put that in place and get that secured right down here, just along the edge of the card. There we go. Okay, so I've got a couple more snowflakes to put in place. One right down here, and a couple to fill in up here, and the the outside of our card will be all done. So let's see what we've got here. And now that this is down here with this up to balance it, it looks like I don't need any more up in that corner. So let me put this one in place and see how I feel about it. Well, what I could do is put that one up in the corner and put a little bit larger one up here. I think that'll do it. You know, once I get going, you just can't have too much sparkle. It's a terrible thing. Okay, so next thing I did was I took this rather large snowflake out of the set of them, and I put a glue dot on the back side of it here and put it right here in the middle of this one so that it was raised up a little bit, and I got some of the tines in between some of the other spokes on the bigger snowflake, and I've got a little sticky piece here. And that worked out really well, because what I did put on the original card was I put a one of our jewels on there. And let me grab that. And I put one of these silver faceted jewels. And I didn't put the largest one. I did in it. I didn't like the way it looked. But I put one of the next size down right here in the center of my snowflake. And there we go. Now that this is down here, though, it does make me wonder if I shouldn't put a couple of rhinestones. Okay, so I've got a couple of rhinestones, and I'm thinking that I'm going to add just a couple of these around on the page so the two that are on the sentiment don't look lonely. So if I put just a few around in the center of some of the snowflakes, there we go. It's probably too much, but I really like it. Can't help myself. Okay, so now on to the inside of the card. And let me move a few things out of the way here. Now, on the inside of the card, it says, Merry Christmas to you and peace on earth to all the world. And on the inside, it says, sending a blizzard of wishes for a wonderful season. So I thought it would be kind of fun to have a blizzard of snowflakes then kind of on the inside of the card. So I'm going to do that same thing using my dot runner to put some of these in place. And this one looks like it fits the best right up here. And then I thought it might be kind of fun to do smaller and smaller ones down the side of the page here. Or maybe, that looks too formulaic. I think I'm going to do just that. I'm going to put one little one down below here, right on the edge. And I'm going to put this one that's a little bit bigger across on the other side. And that's a little bit of a surprise because usually we don't put things on that side. But there we go. Sending a blizzard of wishes for a wonderful season. So there is my card. And now you'll have to tell me what you think. Do you like it better with no sentiment on the front and the only words on the inside? On the inside of this one, I could add a couple of snowflakes, and maybe I will. I think I will, because I just never got around to finishing that one on the inside, and I don't like leaving nothing on the inside. So if I put that one there and a little one up above it, it carries the outside to the inside. There we go. And so you'll have to tell me if you like it better with the sentiment on the outside or no sentiment on the outside. I'm really torn. I really like this front not being hindered by a sentiment, but I like the idea of having sentiment on the inside and the outside. I don't know. Jury's out. You'll have to tell me what you think. But that is the card for today. And thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel today. I do so appreciate it. If you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I'd love to be your demonstrator. Or you could join my team. Now we're coming into, in January, there's going to be some major incentives for joining Stampin' Up! So if you're at all interested, give me a call and let's talk. I've talked to a couple people already once I started talking about what was possible after the first of the year. And I have several people considering it. And if you'd like to be one of them, I'd love to talk to you. Absolutely no obligation. Just hear about it and see if it's something you'd be interested in. Now, this stamp set is available through November, the stamp set and the die set. And again, this is the die set with the 20 dies in it. And then the stamp set that has the snowflakes and this is the promotion. that is available. This is some samples of some things that people have done with this set. And then this is more of an idea of what's available. So there's this stamp set that you see here that is the one that I used today. That's this one that has the snowflakes and sort of the winter and the Christmas scenes. And then there's this one, which doesn't have anything to do with Christmas. It's your day, hello friend, congratulations. There's all kinds of sentiments on here, and you can see what they've done is they've used images that are the same kind of shape, but not snowflakes. And then there's these little snowflake elements that are available, and then this velvet paper that's available. And all of this is available right now on my website, www.lbedinger.stampinup.net. And this is one of those limited time offers. So this set is available only through the end of the month and while supplies last. So here's the set of dies, and here's one of the stamp sets. And this is 20 dies. So it's a really nice set. Think about it. And the shimmer paint and the vellum and the cardstock and everything else, of course, is always available on my site as well. Again, thanks so much for stopping by. Okay, the prize draw for this month is a set of this designer series paper, the chicken wire elements, the stamp set, and the galvanized metallic paper. And so that is the prize draw for November, and all you need to do is put an order on my stamp site, on my website, to be eligible for the drawing. And it's always so much fun to call somebody and tell they won the prize draw. I've had so many people tell me this is such a surprise. They never win anything, and so that's been lots of fun to put that in somebody's hands. And so that's it for me today. I'll be back soon with more projects and more cards. Bye.